Are you interested in pursuing a career in the medical field and wondering why you have to find the dimensions of a box? Well, you're not alone. Today, what I'd like to show you, though, to get you there, is how to find the dimensions of a box. So here's a problem. It says the length is going to be 3 times the height of a box, and the height then is going to be 1 inch less than the width. And the volume of the box is going to be 108 cubic inches, and it wants us to find basically the length, the width, and the height. All right, so just take it sentence by sentence. It says that the length is going to be 3 times the height. So if this is the length, this is the width, and this is the height, it says the length is 3 times the height. So I guess just leave this h for height, and then whatever the height is, just multiply that by 3 to find the length. It then says, and the height is 1 inch less than the width. So basically what that is, if the height is 1 inch less than the width, right? So what you would do is you would take the width and minus 1 from it, right? This equation is a true equation. So what it says is the height is going to be 1 inch less than the width. So if the width were 20, well, then the height would be 19, right, etc. So what you can do at this point now is, remember, we need all of the dimensions of the box to have the same variable. So right now I have 2 of them with an h, but I need this third one to have an h. So I created an equation from the words in the problem, and all I now need to do is just get this solved for w. In other words, add the 1 on over to the other side, and it's going to be h plus 1 is equal to the width. Now that should make sense, right? If the height is 1 inch less than the width, well then the width should be 1 inch greater than the height. Okay, so what this allows me to do now is it allows me to take this, because it is equal to w, and just substitute it on in here. So instead of writing w, you can just write h plus 1. Now that you have everything labeled properly, the last thing is it tells us the volume is 108 cubic inches. So we really need a relationship now between the volume and the dimensions of the box, and we know what that is, right? We know that the volume of a box is going to be equal to the length times the width times the height. So the volume of 108 cubic inches is going to be equal to the length of the box, which we said is 3h, times the width, which is going to be h plus 1, times the height, which is just h. Now, if you're not allowed to use a calculator on this, well, it's going to take you a long time to solve this. All right, we can use something known as the rational zero theorem. What you do is distribute all these terms and kind of get this down to a cubic function. And then you can follow the rules I've outlined in the numerous problems I have on rational zero theorem. So just look up, Glaser Tutoring Company rational zero theorem or something like that, and I'll walk you through it. Okay, or it'll be in this playlist if you're watching the playlist. But for, purposes of this video, what I'm going to do is show you quickly how to solve this using the calculator. So what you're going to do is set this bad boy equal to 0. So you're going to subtract the 108 on over to the left side. So what you're going to get is 0 is going to be equal to 3h times h plus 1 times h minus then 108. Now what you're going to do is take this thing, not the 0 part, but you're going to just graph it. So hit y equals, get rid of whatever in there, and just then plug it in. So 3x, instead of, h, you can just use x here. So it's going to be x plus 1 then. Close the parentheses, open them, and it's going to be h, or just x, right? And then minus now 108. So hit graph. Boom. And here it is. Here it crosses the axis, okay? What we're looking for whenever we set this, and the reason why we set this equal to 0, is because when we graph this portion, whatever value of x, or aka h, all right, that gives us a 0 value for the function overall, which is where it intersects the y-axis, will produce a true value for this equation. And what that means is that we solve then a value. We solve for the value of h that makes the equation true. So what you can do to make sure that there might not be any other values, just hit second table, and you want to kind of analyze what's happening to the numbers here. You're going to go up, and as you go more negative, this looks like it's going to go off to even more negative. And as you become more positive in the x direction, you see how this is trailing off to positive, basically infinity. So what's nice here is that it already told us, what the value is. When x is 3, y is 0. So that's easy. So I know now if I plug in a 3 for my h, remember, which is the same thing as x. If I plug in a 3 for that, this whole side should go to 0, which means that h is 3. Okay, that's the value. Now, if the numbers don't work out quite nice, what you can do is you can use this calc function. So hit second trace, and you're going to call the 0 function. So now what you have to do is you have to move the cursor to the left of the intersection point. So you know it's going to be 3, so just keep it somewhere around, 2. So hit enter. Then move the cursor to the right of the point. So move it somewhere past 3, right? 3.6, that's fine. And then just give it a guess. Just get close enough. That's good. And watch. Boom. Oop, what the heck just happened? What just happened? Oh, man. I hit the wrong button. Hopefully, well, go back, rewind the video, and just pause it there for that split second. What you'll see is that x was 3. All right? So that's all it is now. You found the height. You found the height is 3. So what we know is this. We know the height is going to be 3. And we know that the length was going to be 3 times that height, so now that should be 9. And we know that the width was going to be 1 inch more because the height was 1 inch less than the height, so that's 4. So if you take 9 times 4 times 3, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get 108, right? 3 times 4 is 12, and then 12 times 9 is going to be 108. That's it. Guys, thanks so very much for tuning in. I do hope this helps. Please remember to help us out and subscribe. We really appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for all the support. And by the way, we got your back because we have thousands of videos out there, not only in math, but chemistry and physics as well. And we have a lot more coming. We solve specific questions because guess what? That's the fastest way to an A. All right. You got to practice, but you gotta be coached along the way sometimes, right? So what's better than not only doing the theory, but instead of doing just the theory and then trying to figure out how to apply it yourself, we show you how to apply it right away. Check out the OpenStax books because those are the problems we use. Take care.